is March 1st, 2010. We have with us today Mike Van Ark, who has a history of working between 1958 and 1972 at Oxbow. 62, I'm sorry, 62. Gave you more time there. And he's going to be talking to Mary Voss about his memories. And we also have with us Ken Carls and Jack Sheridan, who are going
Kutzel.
Ken
Kutzel.
Kutzel. Ken Kutzel.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And yeah, that was a interesting slip. And Jack Sheridan, who are going to be asking some questions also. You want to get started with some of your early observations?
Yeah, well, I'll first get started how I got hired, if that's a good place to start.
Yes.
My wife worked at the Chamber of Commerce in Holland as a secretary. Our dean came in, and he was involved with trying to hire somebody as a business manager. And so really, he was probably looking for college professors who had the summer off. Well, he couldn't find anybody, and so my wife said, well, are you interested? So I said, well, let's find out, what it's all about. And so then we visited Oxbow in October on a rainy afternoon, and almost looked like a haunted place. If you go in there in the fall, everything, is closed up, and so it was kind of crazy. But we then I decided I'd take the job, and I was kind of the innocent person because Oxbow was going through some changes then. Elsa Albrecht had been the director and really took care of everything. And I only met her once in Milwaukee after I was hired. So then she, told me some of the things. But from what I understood, as I went along, the new board was more interested in fine arts. And they felt that it was going more toward crafts rather than fine art. So I was kind of the middle person that got hired then at that time.
So this would have been in the fall of '57?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So then I had to sort of find out everything and get suppliers, and all the rest.
And what were you doing at the time that you were?
I was teaching in Holland.
Okay.
I started teaching in Holland in '55. We got married in '55. So then I taught in Holland for my 37 years of teaching then.
Okay.
So then I was out at Oxbow for about 5 summers then. And of course then at that time, the corporation was set up as a profit-making, in quotes, but because when they had originally, set it up, that was the simple way to do it, to issue stock. But then by the 50s, that stock was all over the place. And so they were thinking about, trying to get it called in to reorganize, to make it a non-profit. But when I was there, that was not true. So, dollars were pretty hard to find at that time, really.
So the financial picture was kind of tough at that point.
Really bad, yeah.
Okay.
At what point did the Chicago Art Institute become involved?
I think they were always involved in some way.
Yes.
And so...
Informally, I don't know that there was any real formal involvement at that point.
So. No. And quite a few of the scholarship students at that time were students at the Art Institute. And we, if I remember correctly, would have 2 fellows and I think 2 girls. And the fellows would usually do the kitchen work, and then the women would do the changing of beds and clean the bathrooms,
So they had to work for that.
Yeah, right. And then, well, when I was there, of course, then my wife got stuck with a lot of that, final stuff. But, when I got there, like in our kitchen, we just had household refrigerators, and we'd always have milk spoiling. And, you blame it to the milkman. Well, then I got a commercial, refrigerator. Well, that solved that problem. And then the health department made us get a commercial dishwasher, but then we didn't have a big capacity like for heating water, so we'd have to shut the water off a half hour before meals in the inn, because otherwise, there wouldn't be enough water for the dishwasher. And I can remember one time the wife of one of the scholarship students kind of screamed at me. She wanted to take a shower while the hot water was shut off, you know. So it did not work too well at that point in time. And we had one scholarship student, I don't know if I should say his name, but his name was Vernon Lobb, and he was kind of the shifty character. And we had a store at that time, which was down the waterfront, and he kind of got supplies without paying for them. But we have a nice painting of the dunes. I think I paid maybe $25, and it was, you know, really a oil painting, and we still have that hanging up in our house. So
By whom? By him?
yeah, Vernon Lobb.
So he more than paid for his,
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I can't think of the name of the lady who ran the store, because she came in from Chicago, and then she stayed, I think, with her son. And I think she went barefooted.
What did you sell in the store?
Pardon me?
What did you
Well,
sell
it
in
was
the
all
store?
the art supplies.
Okay, it was,
Yeah,
it was
nothing food or
no
that type.
groceries or
No,
that sort of thing.
no.
Okay.
And then when I came, this is a picture of Imogene Naud, and she had been there the year before. I don't know if it was before that. She came from Coral, Michigan, which is north of Grand Rapids. And I think really she just wanted to get away for the summer. I think her husband was creating some problems, and she was a wonderful cook. I mean, she was like a farm lady. She could cook anything, really. And since we didn't have much to offer, I always made sure, you know, that we had a lot of food and good food, and too.
How many students did you have?
Well, that was always the problem. You always had more overhead than, you know, you had paying people. So, I don't know, really. I did all the
10,
registering
20?
of the students.
Yeah, but how many students would be, say, eating dinner, et cetera?
Oh, well, you might have 50 people eating. I'm
Oh,
talking
wow.
about, you know, the students, but then also the instructors, and, you know, what I call paying guests, too.
Okay,
So, you know, a lot of overhead.
so it
really.
would not be unusual to have 40 or 50 people
Oh, no,
that were
no.
eating.
Right.
Some of those were students, some were the help, some were the management,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
Were there scholarships for students back in those days?
Oh, yeah.
There were.
Yeah. And then the boys stayed down the waterfront. There were, you know, the old studio gallery was there, and then the building next to it. Well, I'm sorry, there were two buildings, really. But the one was the litho studio, and that was a good place to have it because it's very damp down there. But then the upper floor is where the two scholarship students would stay, and the Waldorf Astoria is what they called it then.
Oh, you got the name wrong. It was the Castoria.
The what?
Right.
The Castoria. The
Oh, I'm sorry.
Waldorf Castoria.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I would remember it as the Astoria also, except I've seen it written Castoria. I just thought it was a slight takeoff on the Waldorf Astoria. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, while I was there, I think the bell tower kind of collapsed because, you know, everything was kind of shaky. And so, fellow I hired most of the time to help me was another teacher in Holland. He taught industrial arts, so he could do about everything. And of course, when I was there, most of those cabins did not have electricity, so we still had kerosene, you know, lamps in.
Okay, could you, to sort of set the stage here, what was your job responsibility or your job definition when you first started?
Everything.
Everything
Except
so
art.
it was defined what your responsibility wasn't, and then you were responsible for everything
That's
else.
right,
Okay.
yeah. So if,
Yeah.
you know, if a drain got plugged up, we'd have to dig, you know, the sewer out and see what's wrong, you know, usually roots, you know, and we did build a shower next to the convent. The convent is where the girls stayed, and we never got a permit at all. We just, you know, got cement. I don't know if we mixed ourselves or if we got a truck in, but then we just let water, you know, flow below, And then I think we had a water heater, and otherwise everybody would either have to bathe in the lagoon or they'd have to go up in the inn. So at least it, spread things out just a little bit.
Is there a picture of that in the book?
I don't know. And
Well, one thing I've often wondered about, you got all these people staying in various places, etc. How in the world do you handle that? I mean, you must have had some system where when somebody was coming, okay, you were assigned this place to sleep, or was did that just sort of happen?
no, we had certain things for rentals.
Okay.
So then,
So if you were like you paid for a room, then that was pretty obvious.
see, now we had an older lady called Gussie, and she had the upper corner room in the northeast corner, and she was out of Chicago. She stayed the whole summer.
Okay.
And she had a cane, so if she walked down the hall, you could hear her coming.
Here comes Chris.
But, she was the type of person that knew everything, and, if things weren't quite right, she could tell you then.
Was she an artist?
No, well, she painted, but, she was a paying guest.
Kind of a Sunday
So,
painter.
I can't tell you her room.
She probably liked hanging out there.
We had a very interesting artifact. This might stimulate your thinking on the whole subject a little bit, but it was the hotel register. And it went for like 20, 25 years.
Okay.
And it had the signatures and who was there and the dates and where they were from and all. It was very interesting. But I think that was discontinued probably, I'm guessing maybe in the 30s. But it was there from like
Well, of course,
1915 to 19.
we had to register everybody that came in, for.
So you did have like a registration book.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that book still exists.
I have no idea, but we had to sign people in, of course, because
Was it a multi-year thing, do you recall?
that I don't remember, no.
Okay. Yeah, that was probably the law. If you were renting rooms, you had
Yeah,
to.
right, yeah. And so, yeah, I really got involved with everything that was non-art, to say the least. Elizabeth Ruprecht then was the director when I was there, and then of course she was at the Art Institute, and then Loretta Grellner kind of helped her and worked with her then. So then Betsy was always around, and I don't know if you knew Art Deem or not, but
Yes. I didn't know him, but I knew, I had met him.
okay,
Of course, I know his son quite well.
yeah, but he was always around, and he'd kind of Mike, where are you? Because he'd have something to tell me.
So what was his responsibility at that? Was he like the
I
president?
think he was
of
a
the-
president
or the
when
chairman
I-
of the board or something?
Yeah, when I was hired, I think he was a president then.
But he didn't really have any day-to-day responsibility in running the place in those years?
No, not officially, no, but he was the president. I think he was the president.
Okay,
that
so,
time.
and he was probably, do you recall, was he around all summer? Did he come and stay in the
Yeah,
lighthouse all summer?
see, of course, the lighthouse blew down in '56.
Oh, that's right, okay, yeah.
And then I forgot what year he rebuilt that, but that
It wasn't until 61, 62.
Yeah, it was still when I was there, yeah. I mean, he
Okay,
rebuilt
so
it when I
was
was
it, yeah, in that period of time, the lighthouse was gone.
Yeah, so then I don't know where he stayed, but then he had a boat that he could, row across or go across and
Okay.
to the lighthouse.
Well, there's a cottage that's there today.
Yes.
It's a blue cottage, and as you're looking out towards the lake, it's on your left, and it's up on the hillside. I don't know, I've forgotten now what the history of that was and whether or not maybe they owned that when.
I think
in
so,
those years.
or they got it later, because one of their people lived there, didn't they, more recently? I don't know.
Well, his
daughter?
His daughter,
Yeah.
Art's daughter, lives in another house there. She's a disabled person. Have you ever met her?
I have already, yeah.
She's an artist.
Yeah.
She has some sort of debilitating
Yeah,
thing where she's confined to a wheelchair pretty much, I think.
because
And
my wife and daughter would quite often come in the off-season and walk around Oxbow, and then they would see her.
Yeah, okay.
And,
But
Talking-
this is a much older place and it's up kind of on the hillside.
yeah,
I've been out there. There isn't one right angle in the place. It's, one wall goes this way, and the other wall goes this way, and the windows are all.
Yeah. Well, then, of course, in the off-season, you had Mary Kay Bettles, and
Yeah.
she was kind of the caretaker, and then she always wore a badge or claimed she
Yes.
was, you know, a sheriff's deputy,
Yes.
and would try to get fishermen off with the lagoon.
Right?
And, of course, when the water level was high, then they could kind of ease a boat over from the Kalamazoo River.
Yes.
And then that always created problems. Then they tried to dig a channel.
Yes.
But, and of course, she drowned, you know, through the ice, then, which was
Yes.
a tragedy. But then Jean Palmer was with her. And I can remember, then they had a cottage, you know, back up beyond the inn.
Yes.
And then they had this dog, big hound dog called George. And they had a little American Motors car. I forgot what it was called, but it was, you know, just like a front seat. And then George would sit in the back, and his nose would be, you know, way over. And then she would let George out when, you know, she'd come in. But
Okay.
if we had problems with anybody, you know, trespassing, and there were always people that wanted to try for one reason or another, then, you know, she was around to take care of that. And
How about Jean? What do you remember about Jean?
well, Jean, of course, was always with all the jewelry.
Yeah.
And so, really, I didn't talk to Jean that much. I talked to Mary Kay probably more often. But Jean was usually around, you know, with the glasses and all the jewelry that she wore.
Did they own the Mary Kay cottage? Was that one of the?
I don't know exactly what the, you know, I think they owned that.
Well, that's another crazy part. Maybe you could add your 2 cents on that. You know, these cottages were built over quite a long period of time.
Right.
People would simply, they got the go-ahead from somebody and they'd come in and build a cottage. Then it was sort of theirs.
Yeah.
And sort of the schools.
If I remember correctly, the Mary Kay was built by Olive Williams.
That could be.
And then she took over the one that's now called the Bogart. If I remember, as I'm starting to get the story, I think that's, and how Jean ended up in the Mary Kay, I don't know, but.
Was that ever a problem that you recall when people would say, well, that's my cottage, I'm come over and I want to stay
See,
there.
now the Norton family had their own cottage.
Yes, they still do.
Okay, and I don't know exactly what the arrangement was, but, you know, they would kind of, well, they were always there and
Yeah.
could take advantage,
Yeah.
but they had no real responsibility or that they had to do
Yeah.
things around,
Yeah.
you know, for Oxford.
There were a couple others like that, I think, that were built by,
Well,
well, then the bigwigs, the beginning bigwigs, like
Yeah.
Fursman and stuff, they had
right,
places that were built, and what's the other one?
the West,
The West, yeah.
And,
What was the other?
Mason's
Talmadge,
Cottage.
the
Talmadge,
Talmadge
yeah,
Cottage.
up the Crow's Nest or whatever.
Dr. Mason, they had a cottage.
Okay,
And then let's see, I went to Chicago usually once a year when they had their board meeting. And then I would meet who the board was. And then I would stay with Mary Barnard. And then she had a studio on Ohio Street. And she was a working artist. And then her son, Phil, was also, he taught lithography. And then he was the board president the year that I quit then. And there's a
okay.
letter in that book that I have from him. But yeah, then we were there for 5 years, and then my wife was able to take classes. And really, in high school, she went to Zeeland High School, so they never had much art there. And well, all the way through school, you know, they'd always say, especially in elementary school, well, if you need something done, well, May will do it then. And so she really enjoyed the art classes, and that's how she got started then. And then at that time, we operated through Saturday noon lunch, and then our critique would be on Saturday morning. And that would last the whole morning, and every instructor would go through, you know, the week's work then. So you could learn, you know, a lot about art if you, you know, could take the 3 or 4 hours, you know, of the time there.
Tell us about Betsy.
Betsy? Well,
What kind of a person was she? Was she Yeah, I understand she's still alive?
She's still alive as far as I know. I have not seen her. I met her at one of the summer get-togethers.
You might have to identify who Betsy is.
Betsy Ruprecht. And her parents, of course, were, the founders, some of the founders of the school. And, well, then her mother did teach, I think, 1 or 2 years when I was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, of course, she was getting older by that time then, too. So...
well, was Betsy about your age? Or
I think
she
so.
Quite a bit older?
No, I don't think she was too much older.
That's what I would guess. You must be what, about 75?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm 80 going on 81.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing? What really?
So, so.
Okay, so you think she was about the same?
I think
I
about
see her in
same.
those photographs, and I've always thought, I wonder how old she was exactly. I've
Yeah.
never really researched it. I could probably find out if I.
Yeah. So she really took care of, all the art part. And I had nothing to do with that at all. Except, well, if there were problems dealing with the other side, then
What, was she pretty much the big boss as far as you were concerned, or was it more like a partnership between?
Sort of a partnership, yeah. We tried.
So you had your area that you're responsible for,
right.
she had hers,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a lot of
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
overlap.
No. So
Okay.
the only thing, if she needed things that we didn't have money for, this would be a problem. And she liked gardens, which was nice. And we had she had a nice garden behind the inn, right, where the office area was there. And so she liked to do that, which was good because, we needed
Well,
some cover.
was she married or?
No, I don't think she was ever married that I know of.
Married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you there when Bert Tillstrom was there?
Yeah, Bert Tillstrom was there, I can't remember if it was 1 or more summers, and he stayed in what I called where they had the crafts when I came. And then he was working with hand, by hand with silhouette type of things. And so it was very nice because then he would be there the whole week and talk to students and everybody. And then he would give a show usually. And then, he would pick up all the tidbits and then bring in people. And so it was, really a nice kind of thing to have that. And our instructors, we had a variety of people. I was mentioning a little earlier, Bill Brinka taught sculpture. And he was really a naturalist. And he knew every plant and tree in the whole place. And I couldn't trim anything, otherwise he would, it was too much. But yeah, he really knew everything. And then one time, Zubel, Gatchurian, and Paul, and I can't think of Paul's last name, Paul was a sculptor one of the years, they were going to fix a dinner with mutton. So they were supposed to cook this for dinner at night. Well, I think they did some other things before, They did a little drinking, and so by the time dinner came, they were just really getting going. So some people, took off to town, but eventually, we had a good dinner. And so then I was trying to think who else we had. Well, Leroy Neiman, of course, was more of the show person.
Was Leroy there just one summer?
I think when I was there, I think he was just there for one session then. Yeah.
And that was, so it was just like a week or something.
Yeah, I can't remember how long he was there, but he was there.
He was there to teach.
One year.
Oh, he was teaching?
Was he teaching? He was,
And he'd have the big cigar, and
It must have been.
he was, he was the character.
What was he painting back then?
Pardon me.
What was he painting back then?
I don't know at that time, but then since then you'd see his
Sports
things
characters.
athletes,
Right.
that type of thing. But every building had a name.
Let me ask you about another person. Do you remember these photographers from Life magazine?
No, I did not know him. That was
Okay.
that was not during my time there at all.
I can't think of his name. Okay, so while you were there weren't any Life magazine photographers
No.
that you can recall?
No.
Okay.
And you mentioned her, I think once before that, Shel Silverstein was there also?
Not while I was there, that I
Oh,
remember.
okay.
Either he was or that was just before.
He might have just come for like a weekend or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he was there long.
And I think, I was talking about the bathroom we built. I think that was tied to the Adam and the Eve, which was the outside toilet for people. And beyond that, well then, we had a son in, let's see, once he was born December 7th, 1961. So then the last summer, we had the Deegan, which was just up the hill. And, had nothing there, but so my wife would have to run up and down because he was, about 3/4 of a year old. But we did have one light bulb there, which was kind of nice. But otherwise, we would usually stay at one of the inn rooms of the inn because, if somebody had a problem, then I'd have to take care of it then at that point in time.
What, can you tell us anything? I mean, you were there for several years about the burials.
Oh,
Were you
yeah.
there for the burials? What
Right.
can you tell us about them?
Well, at the end of the year, then they would, have a final time, and then they would collect, objects, and then they would put that in, and then they would build a cement thing over the top and maybe put things in. And I think I do have one slide that shows one of those. And then they would put the name of the year, or the date of the year, and maybe some of the people that
But
were
you said they
there.
collected things. What kinds of things did they collect?
I really can't remember, but it'd be odds and ends, maybe that people just wanted to put in whatever, just under the stone.
Were they like stepping stone size?
Yeah,
Something like
right,
that? Seemed like
yeah.
I saw a picture.
Yeah.
So little
And-
pieces of art maybe, would they put in, or?
Like a stone maybe, or?
Yeah, I think just odds and ends primarily, if I remember correctly. But then, they were like stepping stones, and they were, just the whole thing along.
Are they still there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There's a
They're
map
dated.
in the
That's probably
book.
what
There's
I
a
saw
map in the
in the-
book where it shows what years are located where.
I wonder how old they have to be before we can start digging them up.
It would be fascinating for somebody to excavate one, but I mean, I think it would probably freak out. I asked Sylvia Randolph about it, and
Were any of
you
these
never
built
really
when
get
you were
an
there?
answer. It's sort
Were
of
any
like
these things built while you were
other
there?
places where it's a secret
No,
society
no,
and you're just not
no
supposed to
money.
tell.
Or maybe she
Well,
didn't know.
Oh, no, she
I'm
had
trying
been
to
there.
think.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
I think
I just asked him if any of these buildings were built while he was there.
Oh, good.
And he said, go ahead and,
see here, I'm sorry, this would be the Waldorf and the Drake. Yeah, okay. And upstairs, the Waldorf is where the two scholarship students would stay then. And you're right, then they added the Castoria on the end of it. And I never thought.
Oh, okay, it was the Waldorf first, and then
Yeah.
the Castoria.
Yeah. But, those buildings, and then the old studio gallery became really dangerous. So then, of course, that was another emotional thing, to get rid of those. Well, they were really wonderful to paint, if nothing else. But, they were really getting dangerous. And we had enough problems without, somebody getting injured or something, so. Then
So they went down.
Then we had a fellow that,
Did you do some of the work yourself?
no, I had somebody
They came
that
in
I
and-
knew that did that kind of work, and
What happened to the lumber and stuff?
I really don't know. He might have taken it out because, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
While you were there, was there, there were other art schools that existed in the area, and I know Corable's Taylor School would have been going. Was there ever any talk of the other schools?
Not really, because probably Oxbow, was, as far as, the level of art, probably higher, because, some are for kids, and some are, Oxbow, you had a variety of students, but, you tried to get people that were more experienced players,
Yeah,
who
that
were working
makes
for
sense.
that. So that was really probably the difference. at that point in time.
Let's see, what are some other artists that would have been active? How about Fred Stearns? No? Who else can you think of, Ken?
From that period?
I'm not an artist myself, so I don't.
No, and you know, you'd have to almost, we haven't generated a list by time period. I mean, I know some of the real early ones, but this is why the project that we're doing, the art history project, that's why it exists, because we don't know. I mean, this is why you're so valuable to us, because we're just starting this.
But now you have no lists or like the catalogs of the Oxbow?
We have two.
We have a few.
We got pieces here and there, but we
Yeah,
really haven't.
we're just putting it together. I mean, we're just
That's one thing
doing
Ken's working on.
original
Really
research, and this has only been going on really less than a year, and really in earnest only a couple of months, because it just took us a while to figure out exactly where to start.
So I wonder where the archives of the Oxbow School would be.
I have no idea if anybody did that either.
It's in the Art Institute. It's
Yeah.
in
Like the
Chicago.
catalogs and.
Jim went there, and that's where we got all these
Yeah.
digital images that he brought back. And I know Karen Tooth had been over there before. And when she went, she scanned a bunch of stuff. Or they scanned it for her while she was there.
Well,
So
that-
the Art Institute has,
I was gonna say, when I came then, they had a room below frost line where they would store food, you know, that was left over. I'm talking about canned food.
Okay.
Because it was below the frost line, so you never had to worry about it, really.
So you could store it from one year to the
Yeah,
next.
not a lot, but you know, if you had things
Yeah.
that were left over. When I came there, yeah, then you were getting a lot of stuff out of Chicago, which was really expensive. So then I contracted with Leiden's brothers out of Holland, and they did a lot of, you know, that type of thing. So, gee, to get a truck into Oxbow at that time, that was wild because, you know, we had a couple of semis that actually got in, but it was
Did they
pretty hard.
Are they
And,
buried out? That's what's under the.
But then, you know,
Burial.
we also had a lot of old postcards, and some of those I've got on slides there that you have that you can copy there. And, you know, with the old bathing type of things. And then I was gonna mention, one 4th of July, you know, you got the amphibian vehicle that goes around Saugatuck, but one year, John Gilmore, I guess, came down the Kalamazoo River and came over, you know, where the fishermen would come, and all of a sudden, he comes right out of the lagoon with this thing, and they were, I think, trying to encourage him at that time, you know, to give some money. And so, you know, he was part of the Gilmore people, you know, out of Kalamazoo then.
Okay.
Here this thing comes right out of the lagoon. And, you know, it's always funny because 4th of July, you know, it'd be busy in Saugatuck, like a rat race, and then out at Oxbow, you know, we just act as if, well, we had our own things, but, you know, it was completely different then, really.
How about, do you recall anything about the art, the balls and the art sales and?
No,
Those kind of
because I
things.
don't think we had any art balls at all when I was there. Not that I remember.
Okay.
And we had sales, of course, of student work. And after, you know, on a Saturday, you could.
So would you sell stuff down there at the Oxbow, or was it all brought into?
No, it was pretty well, I think up to individual person, they could sell it. I don't think we did anything
Okay,
as
so
a
there wasn't
school.
anything organized at the
No.
school?
No.
Yeah, well, in that regard, what do you recall about the numbers? How much did you get paid, for instance?
I got, at that time, I got $1,800 for the whole season.
For the season?
Yeah, and I would start right after school got out, and then we operated pretty close to Labor Day. And of course, then school started right after that. And then later, I think it was a little less than that.
So
But-
$600 a month, that would be about $150 a week. You weren't really highly paid.
No, for that time.
Not,
It wasn't that bad for that.
not too much per hour, if you want to put it
For
that
the
way.
summer, I suppose.
But you got to stay for free, right?
Pardon
You
me?
got to stay there for free. You didn't have to pay rent, did you? While you were there? Or did you have
Well,
to?
we had a room
Uh-huh.
in the inn.
So you probably worked about 80 or 100 hours a week.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know, maybe I mentioned earlier, I'd lose about 15 or 20 pounds in the summer from running around and, the worry that we were gonna make it, really. And-
So, but think back, not then as the finances for the school were concerned, were they always biting their fingernails and saying, oh God, where are we gonna get the money for paying the light bill? And
I was.
yeah,
And then I've forgotten if that was about the third or the fourth year. Then we had about, I think, around $1,500 left. And then that's when they put up the geodesic dome. And that was kind of a project. And, I think they hauled the stuff in from Chicago, and then they had work crews on weekends putting that thing up. And I have no idea, how many years it was up, but
what was it used for? What was the idea?
well, the idea was to have some kind of protection for painting and for a studio, because all we had then was a gallery then at that time.
Okay, so it was a kind of semi-outdoor studio.
Yeah, because the sides were all open. Yeah,
We've got pictures.
Yeah,
yeah. So
I don't think it stood up there. There aren't very many pictures of it.
no, I don't think, probably it was there maybe too many years,
Yeah.
because it was
5
exposed.
years maybe.
Was it controversial because it was so modern looking?
I don't know about that so much, but it was just kind of a quick solution, or tried to be, for a problem that they faced. Because, they needed, new facilities, but there wasn't any money because of, the way the school was organized, financially.
Was there somebody behind the scenes that would kind of really fund things when push came to shove? Like did Art Dean put in any of his own money?
I don't think so, because it was profit making, so, you couldn't use it as a contribution. So see, that was the big hang up there. And then that's why they finally got to get a nonprofit. Somehow, somebody worked to get all that stock or get the, the control of the stock so that they could reorganize into a nonprofit corporation then.
Do you remember any of the other directors at that time?
No, besides Phil Barnard, who taught, and then his mother Mary, and Art Deem, I think those were the primary people. I met Dr. Mason, I think, once or twice, and I had forgotten if he and his wife were both on the board. And he was a doctor in Chicago, and the Mason Cottage was named after them.
Do you know George Mason?
I don't know the name.
I wonder if that's the same Mason. Mason's a pretty common name, so it's probably not.
Yeah.
Not Bob Mason, so
Pardon?
not related to Bob Mason, I don't think.
Is it Bob that's married to Mary?
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. Different Mason. Okay, so there was never a lot of money. It was kind of hand to mouth, huh?
Very much so, yeah.
You were worried about whether you had enough to pay yourself, probably.
Yeah, and suppliers.
Yeah.
Well, I knew quite a few of the suppliers, so it was a case of making sure, that people got paid.
Yeah.
But of course, the instructors really didn't get paid very much per week. I've forgotten, it was less than $100, of course. But then, of course, they got free room and board, and if they had kids, who sometimes were problems.
Well, would other people come over there and paint and then pay to stay? Was there
Either by
quite a bit of that?
Yeah, either as day students or as paying guests.
Okay.
And then I forgot what we charged, like for lunch or dinner. And but I always felt we had good meals when I was there, because like I mentioned before, we didn't have much to offer in the way of facilities. But, if you did art, then that was what you were there for. If you could, stay in the inn, whatever.
Do you remember any of the Nortons?
Yeah, I remember Mrs. Norton, and she had a daughter, but
Yeah.
I really
No,
You know,
her daughter owns the property at the end of the road out there now.
Okay.
And her name is Kay Smalley.
Okay,
And her brother, whose name I think is John.
he was there for some winters too, wasn't he?
A
Few years ago?
Well, I'm not sure, but he lives in Florida, but
Okay,
he comes up here during the summer. I've met him. He's a very nice guy.
yeah. He was there at
Kay's
least one winter, because I know our daughter walked in
could
one
be.
time, met him.
That could be. Kay lives in Kansas,
Okay,
but then she's retired now. She's a college professor.
okay.
Oh, Emporia University.
He could be.
I think that's what she told me when I talked with her.
They lived in Iowa, didn't they, when I was there?
Well, that could be. She's all I know as far as she's concerned is that she's lived in Kansas for quite a while because she teaches at this university or college, whatever it is down there. But she built on. I don't know that was part of the what was the other name we were talking about that owned property out there? They sold off that property. That property was split up. Bogart.
Oh, okay, yeah,
The Bogart property.
right.
When Bogart died, then that property was split up, and I think Deems bought part of it.
Okay.
And
That would be along the old channel then, part of it.
yeah,
Okay.
it had frontage on the channel
Yeah.
because Kay's cottage
Yeah.
sits there today. But you don't recall Kay or her brother.
Not too much. I think she was a teenager or
Yeah.
about that point. Yeah, we know when we were there.
She's about 71, 72 today.
Okay, yeah, that'd be about right then, because I was probably about 28 or so when we went
Yeah.
there.
What kind of art do they do there besides the painting? I know you talked about sculpture.
Yeah, they did sculpture and they did ceramics. And of course then, we had the big litho stones
Oh,
where you'd have to grind and grind. And then Phil Barnarth, I think, taught, I don't know, I think all the time, the summers when I was there. And so we had, and then they would work with copper plates, to do prints. And no glass work, of course, at that time. So it was landscape, figure, mainly. And then you'd have sculpture and ceramics, and then, printmaking then.
Oh.
So that was pretty good at
Yeah.
that time.
Was Impressionism still the main style at that time too?
Pardon me?
Impressionism for oil painting, was that still the main style? Of that
No,
period?
I think
Everybody was doing their own.
Yeah, they did everything,
Mhm.
yeah. And, we had, like Ellen Lanyon, she's been on the board, I think, also, and she teaches, I don't know, I think at least my age now or close to it, but I think her work is in the Art Institute, but she's been a real supporter, I think, of the school.
What's her name?
Ellen Lanyon, and I can't think of her husband's name. And they had 2 children, when they were there. They stayed in the West Cottage then.
so how has it changed from the time you were there to how it looks today? What
Well,
was the
of
biggest
course, now you've
change?
got a lot more facilities, and you have a full-time person who's the director. And, we knew him when he was at the Art Center in Holland.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then, when you're able to get grants of money, and I realize now, things are changed, but because of the economy, but makes a little difference then too, on how you can operate then.